Okay, so let's start with related party transactions, section 188. So in this first, we need to understand what is a RP, that is a related party, what exactly it is in terms of a company. And then we'll see what are the transactions with such a party, which are covered by section 188. Okay, so we need to understand first what is the meaning of these two words, and then we'll have to see the meaning of these three words. Okay, section 188, very important section. So first of all, let's understand the meaning of related party. As per section 2 subsection 76, it is a director or his relative, director of the company or his relative, KMP or his relative. KMP is basically the MD, CEO or manager of the company, or whole-time director, company secretary, or CFO, okay, or their relatives. That will be studying in the next chapter, KMP. A firm in which a director, manager, or his relative is a partner. So any firm in which a director or a manager or their relative is a partner, so they are also RP. A private company in which a director or manager or his relative is a member or director. So now we are talking about after a firm, the fourth point is a private company in which director or manager or his relative is a member or director, because in a private company you can be either a member or a director. Similarly, in a firm you can be only a partner. A public company, so firm, then private company, then public company in which the director or manager is a director and holds along with his relatives more than 2% of the paid up capital, more than 2%, either individually or with relatives. Any other body corporate, any other company whose board, MD, manager is accustomed to act in accordance with the advice, directions, or instructions of a director or manager. So any other body corporate whose board, manager, MD is accustomed to act as per the directions of the director or manager of this company of which we are talking about. Any person on whose advice, directions, or instructions a director, manager is accustomed to act. Any other person on whose advice we are accustomed to act. But the seventh point doesn't cover professional advice, like advice given by chartered accountants or company secretaries. That is not covered here. Here we are talking about similar to this sixth point, that any other body corporate whose board, manager, director, or manager is accustomed to act in accordance with our directions, or anybody or any person on whose advice we are acting. Maybe like a holding company's instructions we are acting as we are the subsidiary. Any body corporate which is a holding subsidiary associate of such company. Holding company is basically our parent company. Subsidiary is basically in which the holding company holds 51% or more share capital. Associate is basically in which the holding company holds around 20% or more of the share capital. Then a subsidiary of the holding company to which it is also subsidiary. So we are also subsidiary. Another one is also subsidiary. We have a common parent. An investing company or a venturer of the company, as we saw that company, investment company, you cannot have more than two layers. So investment company, investing company of a company is also that. Investing company or a venturer of the company. So it can also be a investing company under the company, or it can also be, the words can also mean investing company or venture of the company means somebody who has invested in the company, in our company as a venture capital fund or something. They have clarified it. The investing company or the venture of a company means a body corporate, another company, whose investment in the company would result in the company becoming an associate of the body corporate. So it is another company whose investment in our company makes us their associate. That means they are investing around 20% or more in the company. Because to make an associate, to make them an associate, sorry, to make us their associate, they will have to invest at least 20% or more in the company. So basically, we are talking about a venture capital fund who is investing. Okay, not a subsidiary which is an investing company, investment company as we call it. We are talking about a venture capital fund or some investing company which has invested in our company of 20% or more, that to make us their associate. Okay, so related party is basically, we'll call it RP, easier to say. Then RP with reference to company means these things: director or his relative, KMP relative, director or his relative, KMP or his relative, firm in which director, manager or his relative is a partner, a private company in which director or manager or his relative is a member or director, public company director or manager or is a director and holds along with his relatives more than 2% of the paid up capital, the body corporate whose board, managing director, manager accustomed to act as per advice directions of or director or manager of one company. So they are related. Any person on whose advice, directions or instructions director or manager are accustomed to act. Does not include professional capacity advice. Also holding subsidiary, associate or covered subsidiary, subsidiary of a common holding company is also covered. Investing company or a venture of the company is also covered. And such other person as prescribed. So they can add a few things here also. Then they are saying, in case of private company which has not committed default in its financial statements, in filing financial statements under 137 or annual return under 192, under 92 with register, clause 8 of clause 76 of section 2 shall not apply with respect to section 188. So basically they are saying this thing won't apply. 8. Section 2, section clause 76 is basically the meaning. This meaning. So clause 8 won't apply to a private company. So in case of private company, these are not RPs if it's not a defaulter. Otherwise they are. Then they are saying, in respect of rule 3 of the company's specification of definition details, rules 14 provides that for the purpose of subclause 9, above, the director other than an independent director or KMP of the holding company or is relative with reference to company shall be deemed to be a party which is related. So basically 9 they are saying any such person has been prescribed. So this rule 3 is prescribing that director other than independent director or KMP of holding company. So basically director or KMP of a holding company or is relative with reference to company shall be a RP. Basically they are also covering director or KMP of a holding company or is relative. They are covering that also. Then section 2 subsection 77 of the act, relative means what? Now they have used director and his relative, KMP and his relative. What is a relative? So accordingly, relative with reference to any person means anyone who is related to another if they are persons of the HUF, same Hindu undivided family, they are husband and wife, or one person is related to the another in prescribed manner as under father, including stepfather, mother, stepmother, including son, including stepson, son's wife, daughter, daughter's husband, brother, including stepbrother, sister, including stepsister. So these are relatives. So director or his relative or KMP or his relative means these are the relatives covered. Now related party transactions to which section 188 is applicable. We'll call them RPTs. Okay, they are called RPTs. Now, what are the transactions to which the related party transactions of or which or section 188 is applicable? What are the transactions? Let's see. Very important. Section, so we know what is RP. Now let's see the RPT meaning. Section 188 subsection 1 specifies certain transactions, contracts or arrangements which shall be termed as RPTs if a company undertakes them with a RP. Obviously, only if they are undertaken with a RP, then they are called transactions which are related. Such transactions are depicted in the following diagram. So they have made a diagram here. Sale, purchase or supply of goods or material. Basic sale, purchase of supply or supply of goods or material. Selling or otherwise disposing of or buying property of any kind. Selling, buying property of any kind. Leasing property of any kind. Renting out. Availing, rendering services. So basic actually. First is about goods. Second is about property. Third is about leasing of property. Fourth is about services. Then fifth is appointment of any agent for the above things. For ABCD, appointing of any agent for purchase or sale, material, service or property. So you're appointing a RP as an agent for these things. So they're saying transaction referred appointment of any agent for purchase or sale, material, services or property. Then such RP's appointment to any office or place of profit in the company, its subsidiary or associate. So we have to see about this. What is appointment to any office or place of profit in the company means what? So here we are appointing a RP in the company to some post. Then underwriting the subscription of any securities or derivatives thereof of the company. Underwriting. Basically there is a share issue happening and the underwriter is our RP only. Now, this E point, appointment of any agent for purchase or sale of goods, material, services or property. Basically, these transactions, A, that is selling of goods, selling, buying of goods, material with the RP, selling of property or buying of property, leasing of property of any kind, availing or rendering of any services. These can be done through an agent also. But end of the day, you are doing it with a RP only. So appointment of any agent for purchase or sale of goods, material, services or property means you are appointing an agent to do a transaction with RP. That is also covered here. Now, what is the meaning of office or a place of profit? Very important term, especially it's a new concept. Now, there are two parts of this definition of this phrase. Expression office or place of profit means any office or place. Any office or place. First, where such office or place is held by director. Now, if director is holding the place, if director holding it receives from the company anything by way of remuneration over and above the remuneration to which he is entitled as a director by way of salary, fee, commission, perquisites, any rent-free accommodation otherwise. So basically, director point of view, he is already a director. Plus, he is holding another office in the company. So he is a director in the company. Plus, he might be like a vice president or a president in the company. And he is getting, and if he is getting anything above what he is paid as a director, then it is called he is having an office or place of profit in the company. So he is as a director, he is a director. He is getting whatever he should get under the contract as a director. So remuneration, commission, whatever he's getting. Plus, he's getting something over and above his normal pay. It may be in kind also, like a perquisite, like he's getting a car maybe. Maybe because he's holding some other post in the company, maybe a president or something. So anything over and above what he is normally getting as a director will be said that he is holding a office or place of profit in the company. So for a director, anything over and above his remuneration, if he is getting, will be said that he is occupying an office or a place of profit in the company. Now, what if that person is not a director? Where such office or place is held by individual other than a director or by any firm, the position can also be held by a firm, like maybe a firm doing the internal audit of a company, or firm providing management consultants in the company, or by any firm, private company, or other body corporate. Even a company can be appointed as an internal auditor in the company. So where such office or place is held by individual other than a director, who is not a director, or by any firm, private company, or any other body corporate, like a LLP also. If the individual firm, private company, or body corporate holding it receives from the company anything by way of remuneration, salary, fee, commission, perquisites, any rent-free accommodation otherwise. They are saying any other individual who is not a director, if he is getting anything from the company, then that is called he's having an office or a place of profit in the company. Or that firm is also having a office or place of profit. Now, to connect the dots, if such RP's appointment to any office. So we are talking about RP's appointment. We saw the meaning of the word RP. Okay. So any of those parties, if they are appointed to any office or place of profit. Now, office or place of profit means for a director, if he's getting over and above what he's normally getting, then this is the transaction that is covered. Or he is a relative of a director. Now, second point will be a relative or a firm or a company or any other company which director is interested or KMP is interested. They are getting something from the company. So maybe a relative of the director, a son of a director, is appointed to some post in the company and he is getting a salary. That is covered under point 2. He receives from the company anything by way of remuneration. Anything. Or it can be a rent-free accommodation. So this F point basically says a RP's appointment to any office or place of profit. So it covers the director also, who is earning anything above what he should get because he is given some another post also in the company. Or it can be relative of the director or KMP who is getting a job or a post in the company. Or maybe it can be a firm of the director or firm of director's relative which is getting some business from the company. They are occupying maybe the position of an internal auditor in the company or any other position which can be held by a firm or a company. Even the IT department, normally in some companies, even the IT department, they generally outsource to a firm or some private company so that they take care of the IT. IT is in the information technology department. PDP they call it. So if something like that is happening, or basically a relative is occupying, he's getting a job in the company, and then that is also a related party transaction. And lastly, underwriting. Underwriting, though you know, underwriting is basically when the company is issuing shares or other securities. So normally in case of share issue, what happens that whenever a company is issuing shares, the rule is that they should get at least 90% of the subscription. So suppose they are issuing like 1 crore rupees, 1 crore shares. So they should get at least applications worth 90 lakhs so that the issue is successful. Otherwise, the issue fails and you have to refund the money. So what they do, they appoint an underwriter. Generally, underwriting is done by banks and other leading broking houses. So they guarantee that if there is a shortfall, we'll buy the shares. And obviously, we'll charge a commission on that. So your risk we are bearing. So your issue will be successful. You will get the money. We will be buying the shares for commission. Commission can range from around 1%, 2%, something like that, of the whole issue size. That is on the whole 1 crore. Now, here what is happening? Here the underwriting is done by the RP. Maybe like a subsidiary or associate, something like that. Or maybe a company in which director is a director or a member, something like that. Or a private public company, as we saw, where the director is holding 2% or more than 2% of share capital, like that. So they are doing the underwriting. So the rule is ki you can enter into transaction. There is no bar on that ki you cannot enter, but they have just defined ki these are the transactions. So they have to be disclosed to the full capacity. So it is noteworthy that Section 188 does not bar a company from entering into RPT. So there is no bar ki you should not enter. There is no wrong in that. Obviously, you will be entering. They can very well be undertaken, but after following procedure prescribed as per law, like taking permission from the board and if required from the company in general meeting when prescribed limits are exceeded. So they say ki you can undertake. So maybe if a director is interested, so he should disclose that first of all. And secondly, the board will approve. And in many cases, the shareholders have to approve. If there is it's a huge transaction then. So they have given limits. If that limit is crossed, then shareholder approval is required. If the provisions do not require any procedure to be followed, these transactions can also be entered without following prescribed procedure. Sometimes they say that no procedure is required. Now, the next one is related party transactions for which no approval is required. The rule is key if the transactions are entered at arm's length price. Arm's length price is basically normal market price, and in the ordinary course of business, they are normal transactions. Then 188 is not attractive, and therefore no approval is required. However, if transactions are not at arm's length price, then approval is required. Yes. General rule is that if they are at arm's length and they are in the ordinary course of business, then no problem. Arm's length means a transaction between two parties that is conducted as if they are unrelated, so that no conflict of interest is there. So arm's length is basically normal market price which is there. But if they are not conducted at arm's length, obviously you need the board approval. So RPT is requiring consent of the board. In case the RPT is not on arm's length basis and also does not require approval of shareholders, so shareholders चे लिमिट क्रॉस होत नाहीये. म्हणजे लिमिट पुढे बघूया आपण की एका लिमिटच्या वर असेल तर मग shareholders अप्रूव्हल लागतं. It shall be entered into by the company after obtaining consent of board. So BR at BM करा, board resolution at board meeting, and then you can go ahead. Given by a resolution at a meeting of the board. If a company enters into transaction with RP, the agenda of the board meeting at which the resolution is proposed to be moved shall disclose the following matters. So whenever the board will be discussing this or passing a resolution on that, a notice will be sent for the board meeting. Along with that, agenda has to be attached. And agenda will disclose all the things so that the board will know what exactly they are getting into. The name of the RP and the nature of relationship. So like, who is the RP? So is it the relative of the director? And how they are connected? Nature, duration of the contract, particulars of the contract arrangement, the material terms of the contract arrangement including the value if any advance paid received for the contract, manner of determining the price or other commercial terms, both included as part of contract, not considered as part of contract. So what is the exact price? What are the terms included in the contract or not included? Whether all factors relevant to the contract have been considered. If not, details of the factors not considered with the rationale for not considering those factors. So whether while entering into contract, everything has been considered, all the important factors have been considered that you would normally consider when entering into contract. Any other information relevant to the board to take decision on the proposed transaction. So that will be attached to the agenda, included in the agenda. Plus, in case any director is interested in any contract arrangement, he shall not be present at the meeting during discussions on the resolution relating to such contract arrangement. Obviously, he should not. Now, there are some transactions which require shareholder approval. Now, what are those? The RPTs are requiring approval by ordinary resolution. So they are said to just pass an ordinary resolution, not a special resolution. So 51% majority of the shareholders is required in this case. So in case a company enters into a contract or arrangement with a RP and the value of the transaction exceeds the prescribed value. So if here it is based on the prescribed value. So if it exceeds that, then you have to take shareholder approval also. So BR at BM is there, plus it is a shareholder approval. It shall be entered into with the prior approval of the company by passing an OR. Now, what are the transactions? Sale, first is sale purchase. They're the same transactions which we had listed earlier. So these are these transactions only. These are the same transactions, same A to G. These are the same transactions, but plus they have prescribed limits. Sale, purchase, or supply of any goods or material directly or through an agent. So either directly or through an agent, as I told you, it can be through agent also. So just till here, okay, just you have to write till here. Now, if the value of such transaction or transactions, if it's not a single transaction, there are many transactions. If you add up them, amounts to 10% or more of the turnover of the company or 100 crores, whichever is less. So if buying or selling of uh, goods from RP through our agent or indirectly, is it a single transaction or together during the year? Amounts to 10% or more of the turnover or 100 crore, whichever is less. So if exceeds that limit, then you need a OR. So if the value of such transaction or transactions amounts to 10% or more, so if it reaches this limit, 10% or more of turnover or 100 crore, which is less, you will have to take approval of shareholders by OR at GM, that is ordinary resolution at general meeting. Then property, selling or otherwise disposing of or buying of property of any kind, directly or through appointment of agent. So even agent also through we can do it. Again, if the value of such transaction or transactions amount to 10% or more of net worth of the company or 100 crore, whichever is lower. So here they had said turnover. Now here they are saying net worth. Net worth is the asset less liabilities or the capital of the company. Then, and plus they are also said in both the cases that the above limit shall apply for transaction individually or transactions to be entered into either individually or together with the previous year transaction during the financial year, with the previous transaction during the financial year. So all the transactions during the financial year can be considered or single transaction. If a single transaction only is exceeding the limit, then that. Otherwise, if you add up all the transactions with that party and if it is exceeding the limit, then you need to pass a approval. Then leasing of property. Again, if the value of such transaction or transaction amounts 10% or more of net worth of the company, or additional they have added 10% or more of turnover of the company or 100 crore, whichever is lower. Then availing or rendering of any of the services directly or through appointment of agent, only delivery, right? If the value of such transaction or transactions amounts to 10% or more of the turnover of the company or 50 crore, whichever is lower. So if it reaches this prescribed limit, then you have to pass. Plus for that office or place of profit thing and underwriting thing they have added here, where transaction or transactions to be entered into as a contract or arrangement is for appointment to any office or place of profit in the company. It's subsidiary. So not only in company, it can be in subsidiary also, it can be associate also. At a monthly remuneration exceeding 2.5 lakh rupees, as mentioned in clause F, that is that office or place of profit, approval by OR is required. So they are saying if a director is getting anything over and above his remuneration, it exceeds 2.5 lakh per month, I guess. Exceeds a monthly remuneration of 2.5 lakh. So 2.5 lakh per month, or his relative is getting a job in the company, getting 2.5 lakh, more than 2.5 lakh per month, then this transaction needs to have a shareholder approval. Plus, for underwriting contract, where the transaction or transactions to be entered into as a contract or arrangement is for remuneration for underwriting the subscription of any securities or derivatives, basically underwriting commission, exceeding 1% of net worth, as mentioned in clause G, that is underwriting thing, approval by OR is required. So if underwriting commission exceeds 1% of the total capital of the company, that is the thing. And here the net worth will be considered as per the latest audited financial statement. That is the previous financial year. Plus, when you are passing a OR, you will send a notice to the shareholders for the meeting. So attach a explanatory statement to that notice. Normally, explanatory statement is attached when the special resolution is to be passed. So notice includes the explanatory statement, but here also they are saying that you attach an explanatory statement to the notice of general meeting, and this should be included in that so that the shareholders also know what they are going to vote on. Name of the related party, name of the director or KMP who is related, nature of relationship, nature, material terms, monetary value, and particulars of the contract or arrangement, any other info. This is basic. Then again, if the member is related, if the member is also related, and he is basically he is himself a RP, member is a RP in the transaction. He can basically a RP can also be a shareholder of the company, and he is interested in the contract. So they are saying he should also not participate. So a member of the company who is a RP shall not vote on the resolution meant for approving any contract which may be entered into by the company. So basically they are saying if you are a member and you are a RP also related to the contract which is getting entered into, you cannot vote on that. However, nothing contained in the second provision, that is this one, shall apply to a company in which 90% or more members in number are relatives of the promoters or are related parties. So they say if the company only has 90% are from single promoter group only, then this provision won't be applicable. So they can vote even if they are a party to the contract. So this is they are talking about voting by non-voting by a related member. Director, if is a related party, then obviously he cannot vote, or he is interested in the contract, then he cannot vote. That is we already know. But here the additional point is that if a member is a related member, he is interested in the contract which is being discussed at the general meeting, then he cannot vote in the ordinary resolution. But if the company 90% are from the promoter group are relatives of the promoters, that is basically uh, a single group is holding majority shares in the company, like 90% or more, then this rule won't be applicable. Because otherwise, no one will vote. Then this second proviso and फर्स्ट प्रोव्हिजन ना कुठेतरी एक लाईन मध्ये त्याने म्हटलंय, इथे असं क्लिअरली नाही दिलंय. एक सेकंड. हे सेकंड प्रोव्हिजन आहे. दिस इज द सेकंड प्रोव्हिजन. फर्स्ट प्रोव्हिजन मी शोधतोय. हा इथे 24 म्हटलंय त्याने. 24 पॉइंट कुठे आहे? हा हे, दिस इज द थिंग. RPT requiring approval by ordinary resolution. हा जो पॉइंट आहे ना, दिस इज द फर्स्ट प्रोव्हिजन. याने असं खाली म्हटलं. ओके, सो दिस टेबल म्हणजे ऑर्डिनरी रेझोल्युशन वाला पॉइंट आणि हा सेकंड प्रोव्हिजन वाला पॉइंट की रिलेटेड हे एकत्रच आहे ना ऍक्च्युली. 1 आणि 2 टाइपच आहे. सो नो वोटिंग बाय रिलेटेड मेंबर. त्याने म्हटलंय की दिस टू प्रोव्हिजन shall not apply to government company in respect of contracts or arrangement entered with another government company, or shall not apply to government company which is not a listed company. So it will be applicable to listed government companies. जसं की इंडियन ऑइल कॉर्पोरेशन आहे, ONGC आहे, हे सगळे लिस्टेड कंपनीज आहेत, त्यांना ऍप्लिकेबल आहे. इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट्स और अरेंजमेंट्स अदर दॅन दोज रिफर्ड टू इन क्लॉज ए, इन केस म्हणजे हे सोडून in case such company obtains approval of ministry or department of the government in charge of the company. So इथे कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट अरेंजमेंट अदर दॅन दोज रिफर्ड इन क्लॉज ए म्हणजे हे सोडून विच आर डन विथ अदर गव्हर्नमेंट कंपनी, ते तर नॉट ऍप्लिकेबल असेल. अगेन गव्हर्नमेंट कंपनीला कधी ऍप्लिकेबल असेल when they are not defaulter of statements or annual return. प्लस सेकंड प्रोव्हिजन जे आहे नॉन वोटिंग बाय रिलेटेड मेंबर, अगेन इट शॅल नॉट अप्लाय टू प्रायव्हेट कंपनी. So this exemption implies that a member of a private company is permitted to vote on the resolution in respect of the fact such member is a RP. हे तर आपल्याला माहितीच आहे. डिरेक्टर पण करू शकतो. सो इथे त्याने क्लॅरिटी दिली की बेसिकली आता बघितलंस वर की त्याने म्हटलंय नो वोटिंग बाय नॉन मेंबर, नो वोटिंग बाय मेंबर हु इज अ RP. तर मग कोणत्या कॉन्ट्रॅक्टवर तो नाही वोट करू शकत? ऑब्व्हियसली इन विच ही इज अ रिलेटेड पार्टी. त्याने हे इकडे एक्सप्लेन केलंय. असं नाही की जस्ट बिकॉज इज अ RP डेफिनेशन मध्ये तो आला म्हणून काय कुठच्याच ह्याच्यात तो रेझोल्युशन मध्ये पास वोट करत नाही असं नाही. ज्या कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट मध्ये ही इज अ रिलेटेड पार्टी त्या कॉन्ट्रॅक्टवर ही कॅनॉट वोट. जसं डिरेक्टर कॅनॉट वोट ऑन कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट विच इज इंटरेस्टेड तसं. सो इथे त्याने क्लॅरिफाय केलंय, पण सेक्शन वॉज नॉट दॅट क्लिअर. The second proviso to subsection 1 of 188 requires that no member of the company shall vote on a resolution to approve the contract or arrangement referred to in the first proviso, जे ordinary resolution लागतात, if such a member is a RP. The MCA has clarified, Ministry of Corporate Affairs clarified. कधी कधी ना ते सेक्शन वगैरे काढतात पण कधी कधी क्लिअर नसतं. मग असं क्लॅरिफिकेशन किंवा असं नोटिफिकेशन टाईप येतं टू क्लॅरिफाय. सो कधी पण लॉ असं काय फुल्ली कम्प्लीट नसतो, ह्याच्यानंतर पण अपडेट्स येतात त्याच्यामध्ये. सो टू मेक द ऍक्ट बेटर अँड बेटर. पण जेव्हा पण अमेंडमेंट येतात तेव्हा जास्त क्लिअर होतो ऍक्ट. कारण कसं असतं, लॉ मेकर पण एक ह्युमन बिंग आहे. तो पण तो लिहितोय तर त्याच्या मनात त्या वर्डचा अर्थ वेगळा आहे, तुझ्या मनात वेगळा असू शकतो. व्हॉट ही इज ट्राइंग टू कन्वे कॅन बी डिफरंट. सो देर इज अ होल चॅप्टर फॉर इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ स्टॅट्यूट्स, की हाऊ टू इंटरप्रिट हे. इव्हन कोर्टाचे जजेस असतात ना त्यांना पण डिफिकल्ट जातं की काय एक्झॅक्टली म्हटलंय सेक्शन मध्ये, काय एक्झॅक्टली म्हटलंय. मग कधी कधी ते रिफर टू केस लॉज विच आर ऑलरेडी टेकन प्लेस, और फॉरेन केस लॉज, एस्पेशली युकेचे केस लॉस, कारण त्यांचा आणि आपला लॉ सेम आहे म्हणून. सो तसं बघायला लागतं मग. सो त्याने क्लॅरिटी दिली आहे की MCA has clarified that the RP referred to in second proviso has to be construed with reference to only to the contract arrangement for which the said resolution is being passed. So त्या resolution relatedच बघायचं. Okay. So the contract arrangement for which this resolution is passed, त्या रिलेटेड तो RP आहे का ते बघायचं. आता असं होईल की कुठच्याच रिझोल्युशन जो पास नाही वोट नाही होणार जस्ट बिकॉज इज RP, बिकॉज द लँग्वेज तू बघशील ना वर अशी दिली आहे की ही कॅनॉट वोट इफ इज RP. म्हणजे काय, मी तू रिलेटेड पार्टी असेल तर कधी वोटच करणार आहेस काय, असं नाहीये. इट इज की ओनली इफ इन दॅट ट्रान्झॅक्शन यू आर, ज्या कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट अरेंजमेंट जे त्याच्यासाठी OR पास होणार आहे त्यामध्ये यू आर रिलेटेड, तर मग ऑब्व्हियसली यू कॅनॉट वोट. So MCA has clarified that related party referred to in second proviso has to be construed with reference only to the contract or arrangement for which the said resolution is being passed. Thus, the term RP in the above context refers only to such RP as may be a party in the context of the contract or arrangement for which the said resolution is being passed. So only for that contract you are a RP. तरच मग you cannot vote. नाहीतर you can vote. कळतंय? Are you getting this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Plus हे आपल्याला माहितीच आहे की जर होल्डिंग कंपनी आणि इट्स होल्ली ओन सबसिडरी म्हणजे काय, 100% सबसिडी, त्याच्यामध्ये 100% शेअर्स आर हेल्ड बाय होल्डिंग कंपनी ओनली. तर मग त्यांच्यामधल्या ज्या ट्रान्झॅक्शन असतात ना त्यासाठी काही जनरली अप्रुव्हल वगैरे लागत नाही शेअर होल्डर्सचे, कारण जरी पण इट इज एक्सिडिंग लिमिट बिकॉज इट इज द सेम कंपनी ओनली काइंड ऑफ. So in case transactions are entered into between a holding company and its wholly owned subsidiary whose accounts are consolidated with such holding company, normally end of the year when you are a parent and तुमच्या under subsidiaries असतील, you have to prepare a standalone statement plus a consolidated statement including all the subsidiaries and associates and place before the shareholders of the general meeting. Then there is no need for seeking approval because end of the day shareholders will be viewing the statements together only as it is one company only. जेव्हा तुम्ही consolidated financial statements बनवता, you are portraying as if the whole entity includes everything, म्हणजे होल्डिंग सबसिडरीज असं सगळं एकच आहे असं तुम्ही अज्युम करता. त्याच्यामध्ये इट विल बी लाईक होल्डिंग आणि सबसिडरी तुम्ही एकच आहात आणि स्पेशली इट इज अ होली ओन सबसिडरी म्हणजे अख्ख्या त्याचे प्रॉफिट तुम्हालाच मिळणार आहेत. and placed before the shareholders at a general meeting, there is no need for seeking approval of the company by passing OR by members. Only in case of wholly owned subsidiary, म्हणजे पार्टली ओन्ड वगैरे असं नाही, म्हणजे 51%, 60%, 70% असं नाही, 100% असेल तर मग OR ची गरज नाही. आणि त्याने म्हटलंय की अशा केसमध्ये explanation 2 to rule 15 sub rule 3 states that in case of wholly owned subsidiary, the resolution passed by holding company shall be sufficient for purpose of entering into transactions between the wholly owned subsidiary and the holding company. आणि त्याने म्हटलंय की नॉर्मली जे बोर्ड रेझोल्युशन वगैरे पास होतात ना, बोर्ड रेझोल्युशन पास करावं लागेल, ऑर्डिनरी रेझोल्युशनची गरज नाहीये. पण BR ऍट BM होल्डिंग कंपनीने पास केलं तर सफिशियंट आहे, म्हणजे होल्ली ओन सबसिडीला परत पास करायची गरज नाही. त्याच्यानंतर जर हे वरचे जर रूल्स फॉलो नाही केले, म्हणजे कुठचा डिरेक्टर हॅज एंटर्ड इनटू अ कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट विथ एनी अदर पर्सन इन विच ही इज अ, म्हणजे डिरेक्टर ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द कंपनी ही हॅज एंटर्ड इनटू ट्रान्झॅक्शन विथ RP without taking approval of board or without disclosing, then it can be voidable at the option of the company. That contract can be avoided. So RPT voidable at the option of the board or shareholders. As simple as that की एका डिरेक्टरने आपल्या मुलाला कंपनीत लावून दिलं without disclosing, so that can be avoided, that can be voidable. A contract arrangement shall be voidable at the option of the board or as the case may be shareholders. So when board can disapprove it or shareholders can disapprove it. Voidable म्हणजे काय, they have the option to cancel the whatever agreement is done. The contract or arrangement entered without obtaining consent of the board of or approval of by resolution. So जिकडे board resolution पाहिजे, म्हणजे when it is not at arm's length price, माहितीच आहे की board resolution पाहिजे, किंवा it is exceeding the limit term of shareholders approval पाहिजे. तर हे न घेता तुम्ही कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट पुढे गेलात, where any contract arrangement is entered into by a director or any other employee Employee म्हणजे it can be like a very senior employee who has entered into contract with another person, but the other person is a RP without obtaining consent of the board or approval by a resolution of general meeting, as the case may be, and no ratification by board of shareholders. And नंतर पण they have not approved it. म्हणजे कधी कधी नंतर पण they can approve की transaction झालं पण नंतर they ratified. Okay, हा बरोबर आहे. If it is not ratified by the board or as the case shareholders at their meeting within 3 months from the date on which the transaction took place. Further, if the contract or arrangement is with RP of to any director or is authorized by any other director, the director concerned shall indemnify the company against any loss incurred by it. जर ह्याच्यामध्ये डायरेक्टर इन्व्हॉल्ड असेल तर मग त्याला त्यांनी इंडेनिफाय केलं पाहिजे कंपनीला फॉर एनी लॉस. म्हणजे तो कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट अवॉइड करतीलच ते, प्लस इंडेनिफाय करा मला तुझ्यामुळे जो लॉस झाला तो. Plus, company may proceed to recover the loss in contravention of the provisions of this section. So, जो कोणी डिरेक्टर किंवा एम्प्लॉई ज्याने हे ट्रान्झॅक्शन केलं त्याच्याकडनं लॉस रिकवर करतीलच जर कंपनीला काही लॉस झाला याच्यामुळे. तर सेक्शन 188 सबसेक्शन 4 provides that it shall be open to the company to proceed against a director or any employee who had entered into such contract or arrangement in contravention of the provisions of section 188 for recovery of any loss sustained by it as result of such contract arrangement. They can start proceedings against that person and try to recover money from that. Punishment from contravention is basically any director or the employee of a company who has entered into contract or arrangement. So एक तर त्याच्याकडून रिइम्बर्स करतीलच लॉस, प्लस त्याला पेनल्टी पण आहे अंडर द ऍक्ट. Any director or other employee of a company who has entered into contract or arrangement or authorized it in violation of the provision without taking approval or without intimating. Listed company असेल तर the defaulting director or employee shall be punishable with imprisonment up to 1 year with minimum fine 25,000 which can exceed to 5 lakhs or both. The listed company नसेल तर मग defaulting director or employee shall be punishable with fine of 25,000 maximum 5 lakhs. Imprisonment नाही. आणि board report मध्ये they have to disclose the RPTs. So every contract or arrangement entered into under section 188 shall be mentioned in the board's report to the shareholders along with justification for entering into such contract or arrangement. So they have to basically disclose all the transactions they have entered into. जे आपण लिस्ट बघितले अशा काय ट्रान्झॅक्शन असतील they have to disclose. बेसिकली हा एक वेगळा चॅप्टर आहे, कॉम्प्रोमाइज अरेंजमेंट्स अँड अमालगमेशन्स. त्याने म्हटले त्याला वेगळ्या प्रोव्हिजन्स आहेत, त्याला 188 ऍप्लिकेबल नाही. म्हणजे अमालगमेशन, डीमर्जर वगैरे किंवा मर्जर हे सगळं जे आहे, इंटरनल रिकन्स्ट्रक्शन, एक्सटर्नल रिकन्स्ट्रक्शन हे जे आहे त्याला 188 ऍप्लिकेबल नाही. तिकडे पण वन कंपनी इज मर्जिंग विथ अनदर वगैरे असं काय काय होत आहे. सो तिथे हे नाही, प्लस त्यांना वेगळं सेक्शन्स आहेत तिकडे. दॅट्स अ डिफरंट चॅप्टर. So this is the section. Any doubt in this? Very big section.
No doubt, sir.
Okay. So हा सेक्शन स्टडी करताना ब्रेकडाऊन करायला लागतो तरच हा समजतो. आणि याच्यावर प्रश्न कसे बनतात ते सांगतो. सो ह्याच्यामध्ये ब्रेकडाऊन करायला ना याचे पार्ट्स बनवायला लागतात. विल मेक द पार्ट्स. पहिलं द मिनिंग ऑफ आरपी हे समजलं पाहिजे. सो 1 मिनिंग ऑफ आरपी. दिस इज द फर्स्ट पार्ट. ओके, इथपर्यंत. इथपर्यंत. आणि प्रायव्हेट कंपनी मला पण पॉइंट ऍड करू शकतो की दो क्लॉज 8 इज नॉट ऍप्लिकेबल. आणि 9th मध्ये हे पण ऍड करू शकतो की मेंबर डिरेक्टर ऑफ द होल्डिंग कंपनी केएमपी ऑफ द होल्डिंग कंपनी ऑल्सो आरपी. सो हे जे आहे ते. सो हे इथपर्यंत बेसिकली 9th. मग रिलेटिव्हचा मिनिंग, रिलेटिव्ह कोण आहे तर हे सगळं फर्स्ट पार्ट मध्येच येतं. हे सगळं फर्स्ट पार्ट. सो दिस इज फर्स्ट पार्ट झाला. मग सेकंड पार्ट इज द ट्रान्झॅक्शन. कुठल्या ट्रान्झॅक्शन कवर्ड आहेत ह्या सगळ्या ट्रान्झॅक्शन्स. ओके, आणि इथे मिनिंग पण हे पण याच्याला झालं, मिनिंग ऑफ ऑफिस ऑफ रेशन. दिस इज द सेकंड पार्ट इथपर्यंत. त्याच्यानंतर थर्ड पार्ट इज बेसिकली अबाउट द अप्रुव्हल्स. की इथे अप्रुव्हल नॉट रिक्वायर्ड इफ इट्स एक्झाम्पल अँड प्राइस अँड विथ इन द ऑर्डिनरी कोर्स ऑफ बिझनेस. सो हा थर्ड पार्ट आहे. ओके, त्याच्यानंतर फोर्थ पार्ट, यू कॅन टेक एज फोर्थ पार्ट. इथे कन्सेंट ऑफ द बोर्ड इज रिक्वायर्ड. हे सगळं अजेंडा वगैरे. मग फिफ्थ पार्ट, ऑर्डिनरी रेझोल्युशन. दिस इज द फर्स्ट प्रोव्हिजन ऍक्च्युअली. ते 24 लिहिलंय. दॅट इज द फर्स्ट प्रोव्हिजन इथे. सो हे सगळं. आणि हे लिहिताना हे लिहायचंय इथपर्यंतच एजंट, आणि हे वरचच एवढं. पूर्ण लिहायची गरज नाही, ते फार कन्फ्युजिंग होतं. इथे पण एजंट पर्यंत आणि हे. त्याच्यानंतर लिझिंग वगैरे, लिझिंग ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ एनी काइंड, बस एवढंच. आणि मग परत इथपर्यंत. मग अगेन अवेलिंग एजंट पर्यंत आणि मग इथपर्यंत. मग हे पूर्ण, हे पण त्याच्यातच आहे ऍक्च्युली, फिफ्थ पार्ट मध्येच आहे. हे पण फिफ्थ पार्ट मध्ये, हे सगळं फिफ्थ पार्ट मध्येच आहे ऍक्च्युली, आणि हे सगळं त्याच्यातच आहे. हे पण त्याच्यात आहे, नो वोटिंग बाय रिलेटेड मेंबर, फिफ्थ पार्ट. So that talks about basically approval of shareholders. मग गव्हर्नमेंट कंपनीचं पण ऍड करू शकतो आपण त्याच्यात फिफ्थ पार्ट वर. प्रायव्हेट कंपनीचा पॉइंट. आणि हे स्कोप ऑफ सेकंड प्रोव्हिजन ऑल्सो यू कॅन ऍड. मग सिक्स्थ पार्ट इज दिस होल्डिंग सबसिडी, होल्डिंग अँड होल्डी ओन्ड सबसिडरीचं नाहीये. सेवन्थ पार्ट इज आरपीटी विथ voidable at the option of the board. बस, पनिशमेंट वगैरे करायची गरज नाही. आणि डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ आरपीटी इन द बोर्ड रिपोर्ट, एक लास्टला, हे काय लिहायची गरज. ओके, सो दॅट इज हाऊ यू ब्रेक डाऊन. सो बेसिकली एक 6-7 पार्ट्स बनतात त्याचे. दॅट इज हाऊ यू ब्रेक डाऊन. सो हा सेक्शन मध्येच छोटे छोटे सेक्शन आहे असं समज. ओके, 189 टॉक्स अबाउट द सेम 188 ओनली. त्याचं रजिस्टर बनवायचं. So basically, register of contracts or arrangements in which directors are interested. So basically, इथे register बनवायचे of all the contracts or arrangements in which directors are interested. So इथे 184 मध्ये आठवतंय, 184 subsection 2. तिकडे आपण specific disclosures बघितलेले. तिकडे the contract is getting discussed at the board meeting, त्याच्यामध्ये director interested आहे तर he has to disclose. ते वाले contracts arrangements plus 188 वाले जे transactions आहेत ते सगळे डिस्क्लोज करायचे. So basically, maintenance of register of contracts or arrangements 189 मध्ये ते म्हटलं it is mandatory for all companies. Sorry. Okay. So त्याने म्हटलं maintenance of register of contracts or arrangements, it is mandatory for all companies to keep one or more registers giving separately the particulars of all the contracts or arrangements as required under section 184 subsection 2, disclosure of interest by directors in the contracts or arrangements is in specific disclosures point होता, or section 188 that is RPTs. So ह्या दोन्ही कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट अरेंजमेंट जे आहेत सेक्शन 184 च्या अंडर आणि हे ह्याच्यामध्ये रजिस्टर मध्ये आले पाहिजे जे एंटर करते कंपनी. मॅनर ऑफ प्रिपरेशन ऑफ रजिस्टर, सच रजिस्टर शॅल बी प्रिपेअर्ड इन द प्रिस्क्राइब मॅनर. हे पॉइंट्स तर कॉमन असतात, काय असं वेगळं नाही. त्याच्यानंतर द रजिस्टर हॅज टू मेंटेन इन फॉर्म MBP4 फॉर्मॅट आहे. द कंपनी कन्सर्न शॅल एंटर देअर काय काय एंटर करायचंय की particulars of the company or companies or body corporates, the firms or other association of individuals in which any director has any concern or interest as mentioned in 184 subsection 1. त्याने म्हटलंय की याच्यात 184 सबसेक्शन 1 मध्ये माहिती जनरल डिस्क्लोजर होतं, ते पण सगळं टाकायचं याच्यामध्ये की डायरेक्टर कशा कशात इंटरेस्टेड आहे. As an exception, particulars of the company or companies or body corporates in which director himself, together with any other director, holds 2% or less वुड नॉट बी रिक्वायर्ड. सो आपण बघितलं 2% पेक्षा लेस असेल तर एक्झेम्पशन असतं, तिथे काय लिहायची गरज नाही. मग 184 सबसेक्शन 2. सो इथे 184(1) पण म्हटलंय, जनरल डिस्क्लोजर वाले पण सगळं कंपन्या डिस्क्लोज करायचे कोण कोण आहेत. सो पहिला तर लिस्ट द्यायची की कुठल्या कुठल्या कंपन्यांमध्ये इंटरेस्टेड आहेत, प्लस पर्टिक्युलर्स ऑफ कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट्स अरेंजमेंट्स with a body corporate firm or other entity as mentioned in 184(2) in which director is directly or indirectly concerned. म्हणजे ज्या कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट्स मध्ये ज्या कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट एंटर करते कंपनी त्याच्यामध्ये तो इंटरेस्टेड आहे. and particulars of contracts or arrangement with RPs with respect to transactions under section 188. So transactions under 188 कुठल्या कुठल्या आहेत त्या सगळ्या. When to make entries? The entries in the register shall be made at once and in chronological order. जशा होतात तशा. They shall be authenticated by the company secretary or any other person authorized by the board. The register to be signed. The register, after being duly filled and updated, shall be placed before the next meeting of the board and signed by all the directors present. So board has to sign it. Then disclosure to be made by director or KMP. Every director or KMP shall, within a period of 30 days from his appointment or relinquishment of his office, as the case may be, disclose the particulars specified in 184(1). हे तर आपल्याला माहितीच आहे, जनरल डिस्क्लोजर आहे, relating to his concern or interest in other associations which are required to be included in the register or such other information relating to himself as may be prescribed. 184 मध्ये होतच subsection 1 की जनरल डिस्क्लोजर की whenever there is a change in his holdings he has to intimate within the 30 days मध्ये त्यांनी म्हटलं. Register to be kept at registered office, RO ला ठेवा. It should be open for inspection during business hours. It should be preserved by the company secretary, kept in custody of company secretary or any other person authorized. Extracts also allowed आहेत, म्हणजे मेंबर्सला जर काही त्याच्यावरून काही कॉपीज हव्या तर they can take. So company shall provide extracts from such register to member of the company on his request within 7 days from the date on which such request is made upon the payment of such fee as may be specified in the articles of the company, subject to maximum 10 rupees per page. They will charge obviously, पण 10 रुपये per page च्या वर नाही घेतलं पाहिजे. Plus register has to be kept open at the AGM also. The register shall be produced at the commencement of every AGM. It shall remain open and accessible during the continuance of the meeting of any person having the right to attend the meeting. Thus even a proxy, जे proxy आले म्हणजे मेंबरचा proxy पाठवला गेलाय जो खरा मेंबर पण नाहीये, he can also inspect. Basically shareholders are allowed to inspect the register and they can ask questions also. त्याने exceptions दिलेत. म्हटलं section 189 shall not apply to any contract arrangement, that is particulars of contracts or arrangement shall not be entered in the register if it is for sale, purchase, supply of goods, material, services and the value of the goods or the cost of such services does not exceed 5 lakhs in aggregate during the year. 5 लाखाच्या वर नसेल तर एंटर करायची गरज नाहीये. Or if it is entered into by a banking company for collection of bills in the ordinary course of business. Banking company transactions ordinary course of business तर एंटर करायची गरज नाही. Penalty है every director who fails to comply with the provisions of 189 regarding maintenance of register in which directors are interested shall be liable to penalty of 25,000. So if register is not maintained, every director will be held, whoever was given the responsibility of having that. So इथे एवढंच आहे. So इथे basically register maintain करायचे about 184 and 188. So इथे इथून सुरू होतं मेंटेनन्स, मॅनर, मग याचं ना सिंगल वर्ड मध्ये आन्सर लिहायचं. When to make entries in the register? At once and in the chronological order. जसं ट्रान्झॅक्शन होतं तसं आणि ऑथेंटिकेटेड बाय CS शॉर्ट मध्ये लिहायचं. Registered to be signed at the next board meeting by all directors. Disclosure to be made by director or KMP within 30 days as per 184 subsection 1. Register to be kept at registered office. एवढंच संपलं. Preservation and custody by CS. Extracts available within 7 days. Maximum charge will be 10 rupees per page. Register to be kept upon an AGM. Even proxy can inspect. Short मध्ये लिहायचं. एक्झेम्पशन आहे की 5 लाखाच्या वर नसेल ट्रान्झॅक्शन नाही, बँकिंग कंपनीचा ऑर्डिनरी कोर्स ऑफ बिझनेस नाही. So basically banks are also told to keep बट इफ इट इज इन द ऑर्डिनरी कोर्स ऑफ बिझनेस तर मग काही गरज नाही. ओके. त्याच्यानंतर एक 190 म्हणून सेक्शन आहे. जस्ट अ मिनिट, जस्ट चार्जिंगला लावतो. ओके. Now, this is a very important section, contract of employment with managing or whole-time director. ह्याच्यात त्याने म्हटलंय की whenever a managing director or a whole-time director is appointed, obviously company enters into some kind of contract with that person. Which specifies the terms of service, what is the remuneration payable to him. So त्याने सांगितलंय की असे जे कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट्स आहेत, they have to be kept documented. So document such transactions. जर ऑलरेडी इट इज इन रायटिंग तर एक कॉपी ठेवा ऍट आर ओ रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिसला. नसेल तर मग तो बनवा, रायटिंग मध्ये ठेवा. दॅट इज व्हॉट दे आर सेइंग. सो दे आर सेइंग की मेंटेनन्स ऑफ कॉपी ऑफ कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट, every company shall keep at its RO where a contract of service with the MD or whole-time director is in writing, a copy of that, or where such contract is not in writing, a written memorandum setting out its terms. एक ड्राफ्ट कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट ठेवा तुम्ही. Plus, it should be open for inspection by any member without payment of fee. So they can see, they can inspect. If you don't do that, if any default is made in complying with the provisions, company will be liable for penalty. जर तुम्ही कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट नाही मेंटेन केले आर ला आणि ओपन इन्स्पेक्शन नाही ठेवले तर मग पेनल्टी विल बी 25,000 for each kind such default, and every defaulting officer liable to penalty of 5,000 for each default. Generally defaulting officer म्हणजे the directors of the company who are supposed to see that a contract is kept. Private company ला applicable नाही आहे. That is it. So इथे काय आहे, 1, 2 पेनल्टीची गरज नाही आहे. 1, 2 आणि 4 प्रायव्हेट कंपनीला ऍप्लिकेबल नाही. पेमेंट टू डिरेक्टर फॉर लॉस ऑफ ऑफिस एक्सेट्रा इन कनेक्शन विथ ट्रान्सफर ऑफ अंडरटेकिंग प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ शेअर्स. आता इथे ना हे काय सेक्शन आहे की एक कंपनी आहे ज्याच्यामध्ये डिरेक्टर्स आहेत ऑलरेडी, म्हणजे एक्झिस्टिंग कंपनी. ठीक आहे. सो सपोज आय एम अ डिरेक्टर ऑफ युअर कंपनी, यू आर द शेअर होल्डर. ओके. तर मी एक तर रेकमेंड करतोय की आपण कंपनीची अंडरटेकिंग म्हणजे कंपनी ऍज अ होल और पार्ट ऑफ इट और सम प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ द कंपनी और शेअर्स ऑफ द कंपनी आपण दुसऱ्याला विकू फॉर द बेटरमेंट ऑफ द कंपनी. सो मी रेकमेंड करतोय की आपण आपल्या कंपनीचा एक बिझनेस आहे तो विकून टाकू टू समवन एल्स, और कंपनीची काही प्रॉपर्टी आहे ती विकून टाकू, और कंपनीचं शेअर होल्डिंग आपण दुसऱ्याला ट्रान्सफर करू. So maybe we are transferring a huge chunk of shares like 20%, 30% to some other person, the company. Maybe some other person wants to buy the company or majority shares or part of the shares in the company. So मी हे तुम्हाला रेकमेंड करतोय की असं आपण करूया. दिस इज फॉर द बेस्ट ऑफ द कंपनी. आणि ह्याच्यामध्ये काय होणार आहे की आय विल बी लुझिंग ऑफिस, म्हणजे मला एक्झिट करायला लागेल बिकॉज न्यू पर्सन विल आयदर टेक ओव्हर द कंपनी और कंपनीचा मेन बिझनेस विकला जातोय. सो त्याच्याबरोबर कदाचित मी पण त्यांच्याकडे जाईन किंवा मी कंपनी सोडून जाईन, कारण तो त्या बिझनेस आय वोंट बी पार्ट ऑफ द कंपनी आफ्टर दिस. तर ऑब्व्हियसली जेव्हा डिरेक्टर्स लूज ऑफिस दे गेट कॉम्पेन्सेशन फॉर लॉस ऑफ ऑफिस. तो अशा म्हटलंय की जेव्हा डिरेक्टर स्वतःच म्हणजे असे अप्रुव्हल हे घेऊन येतात काही प्रपोजल की असं असं आपण करूया फॉर द बेटरमेंट ऑफ द कंपनी, आणि तुम्हाला सांगतात की शेअर होल्डर्सला की असं आपण करूया दिस फॉर द बेस्ट ऑफ द कंपनी. जसं आता फ्युचर ग्रुपचं झालंय की फ्युचर हॅज सोल्ड ऑफ देअर बिझनेस टू रिलायन्स. सगळ्या रिटेल बिझनेस दे हॅव सोल्ड. सो ऑब्व्हियसली त्या बिझनेसेसचे जे डिरेक्टर्स आहेत दे विल बी लुझिंग देअर जॉब्स, कारण नाव रिलायन्स विल टेक ओव्हर दोज बिझनेसेस. सो शेअर होल्डर्सने रेकमेंड केलं असणार की हे दिस इज फॉर द बेस्ट ऑफ अवर कंपनी रिलायन्स विल बी टेकिंग ओव्हर, बिझनेस विल कंटिन्यू आणि आमचं पण आता ऑफिस जाईल, पण दॅट इज फॉर द बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट ऑफ ऑल द कंपनी शेअर होल्डर्स. तर त्याच्याने कंपनीचं डेट विल बी झिरो नाव बिकॉज रिलायन्स विल बाय आउट, सो वी विल बी गेटिंग मनी. सो आपण आपला डेट क्लिअर करू शकतो आणि असं काय काय सांगतात ते. सो ह्याच्यामध्ये ऑब्व्हियसली डिरेक्टर्स विल लूज देअर हे, तर त्यांना कॉम्पेन्सेशन मिळतं. आता शेअर होल्डर्स विल अप्रूव्ह की ह्यांना कॉम्पेन्सेशन द्यायचं की नाही, कारण एवढं सगळं तुम्ही करताय, ह्याच्यात त्यांचं काही हिडन अजेंडा आहे का, त्यांना काही वेगळा फायदा होतोय का, तर हे सगळं शेअर होल्डर्सला माहिती पाहिजे की एक्झॅक्टली हाऊ मच मनी दे आर मेकिंग फ्रॉम दिस कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट. सो याच्यामध्ये समटाईम असं पण होतं की द अदर कंपनी ऑल्सो पेइंग देम कॉम्पेन्सेशन ऑर समथिंग. तर हे सगळं शेअर होल्डर्सला माहिती पाहिजे आणि ओनली इफ शेअर होल्डर्स अप्रूव्ह दॅट सच पेमेंट देन ओनली ही विल गेट द पेमेंट, अदरवाइज नो. नाही तर काय डिरेक्टर्स असेच कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट घेऊन येतील त्याच्यामध्ये त्यांना फायदा आहे आणि मग शेअर होल्डर्स फसतील. So shareholders should know ki what is going behind the scenes, what exactly, how much interested a director is in this kind of deal. Okay, so याच्यामध्ये जेव्हा असं काही मेजर चेंजेस होतात कंपनीमध्ये, यू आर ट्राइंग टू सेल ऑफ अंडरटेकिंग ऑफ द कंपनी और प्रॉपर्टी और शेअर्स, त्याच्याने द डायरेक्टर इज गोना लूज ऑफिस. सो he should disclose the shareholders ki what exactly he's going to make from this transaction, and shareholders only if they approve at a shareholders meeting, then only he will get the compensation, otherwise he won't get. And if he doesn't disclose them, penalty पण लागेल. त्याने म्हटलं no compensation to director except after specific disclosures and after approval of payment proposed by members. So specific disclose कर आणि शेअरहोल्डर्सचा अप्रुव्हल आल्याशिवाय तुला पेमेंट मिळणार नाही, मग ते कोणाकडेही न असू दे, मग ते ट्रान्सफर इकडून असू दे किंवा ट्रान्सफर आपल्या कंपनीकडून असू दे, तुला मिळणार नाही. Section 191 enumerates happening of certain specific events in relation to company and also states inter alia, among other things, whether or not any director of that company shall receive compensation etc on happening of such events. So इथे तेच आहे की डिरेक्टरला कॉम्पेन्सेशन मिळणार का की जर असे इव्हेंट झाले तर. हे इव्हेंट्स काय आहेत? ट्रान्सफर ऑफ द होल or any part of any undertaking or property of the company. So either whole company business is transferred or part of the business is transferred or property of the company is transferred. Then जसं तर लीलाच्या केसमध्ये पण मी सांगितलं, लीलाच्या केसमध्ये तसं झालं की हॉटेल लीला, they had around 9 hotels. 5 hotels were 4 were owned, 5 were managed. So they sold everything to Brookfield. Even the business is sold. फक्त मुंबईचं हॉटेल त्यांनी रिटर्न केलंय, पण लीला हे नाव पण त्याने विकलं. आता लीला हे नाव वापरायसाठी पण ते लोक रॉयल्टी पे करतात आणि लीला इज ऍक्च्युअली देअर मदर्स नेम. द कॅप्टन नायर वॉज द फाउंडर, त्याच्या बायकोचं नाव लीला होतं. सो आता त्यांची मुलं चालवतात, तर त्यांच्या आईचं नाव वापरण्यासाठी पण दे हॅव टू पे रॉयल्टी. सो बिकॉज दे वेर इन अ डेट, ब्रुकफिल्डला त्यांना विकलं, विच अ कॅनेडियन इन्व्हेस्टमेंट फर्म, त्यांना विकलं आणि पैसे मिळून त्यांनी सगळं डेट पे केलं. बेसिकली त्याच्यात काय झालं की प्रॉपर्टी अंडरटेकिंग सगळंच गेलं आणि त्याच्याबरोबर त्याचे डिरेक्टर जे होते ना लीलाचे जुने डिरेक्टर, त्याच्यातले काही डिरेक्टर आता ब्रुकफिल्डचे डिरेक्टर आहेत. म्हणजे ब्रुकफिल्ड म्हणजे लीला, आता लीला हॉटेल्स म्हणून एक वेगळं कंपनी फॉर्म झाली आहे, विच इज नॉट मॅनेज बाय द लीला ग्रुप, इट इज मॅनेज बाय ब्रुकफिल्ड. आणि हे जे मुंबईचं हॉटेल आहे आता, दॅट इज अंडर हॉटेल लीला व्हेंचर्स, HLV म्हणतात ते. आता ते हॉटेल लीला व्हेंचरही वापरत नाहीत, ते यूज HLV बिकॉज लीला वर्ड दे कॅनॉट यूज. सो अशामध्ये डिरेक्टर्स जे सोडून गेले त्यांना कॉम्पेन्सेशन किती द्यायचं, दॅट इज अ क्वेश्चन. What are they getting? The shareholder should know. The transfer to any person of all or any of the shares in the company. So ithe some other person is buying shares in the company. So there is maybe a ownership change in the company. Being transfer resulting from an offer made to general body of shareholders. Maybe a takeover offer is there. जसं लार्सन अँड टुब्रो ही कंपनी आहे, त्याने 2019 मध्ये माइंड ट्री ही कंपनी टेक ओव्हर केली. माइंड ट्री म्हणून एक IT कंपनी होती, तर त्यांनी हॉस्टाईल टेक ओव्हर केलं त्याचं. सो तशा वेळी काय करतात, एक चंक ऑफ शेअर होल्डिंग ते बाय करतात. जसं आता L&T ऑलरेडी हॅड समथिंग अराउंड 22%. मग त्याने अजून थोडे बाय केले आणि जसं तुमचं 25%च्या वर तुमचं जातं ना शेअर होल्डिंग, यू हॅव टू मेक अ ओपन ऑफर टू शेअर होल्डर्स की वी वॉन्ट टू बाय मोर. दॅट इज अ सेबी टेक ओव्हर कोड, यू नीड टू बाय मोर. असं करत करत त्याला 63% त्यांच्याकडे शेअर्स आहेत. सो दे आर नाव द प्रमोटर्स ऑफ माय एंट्री. आणि जे ओरिजिनल प्रमोटर होते त्यांचं शेअर होल्डिंग यांनी बायआउट करून टाकलं. आणि कंपनीचे जे एक्झिस्टिंग शेअर होल्डर्स होते ना दुसरे, दे वर लाईक व्हेरी हॅपी की अरे L&T इज टेकिंग ओव्हर. ते पण सगळे विकून निघाले किंवा ते सगळे खुश झाले. सो दे वोटेड फॉर L&T. So it was a hostile takeover. So offer made to general body of shareholders, then offer made by or on behalf of some other body corporate with a view to become company becoming a subsidiary company of such body corporate or a subsidiary of its holding company. कुठच्या कंपनीने ऑफर केलंय to make us their subsidiary. So basically they are buying more than 51% shares in our company to make us their subsidiary or subsidiary of its holding company. So त्याने म्हटलंय की an offer made by or on behalf of another body corporate, so made by a company or on behalf of some company offer आली आहे with a view to company, our company becoming their subsidiary or subsidiary of its holding company. म्हणजे असं म्हणू शकतं की A is the holding company, आपल्याला ऑफर B कडनं आली आहे, B wants to make us their subsidiary, so indirectly we become the subsidiary of A, that is the holding company. बेसिकली सबसिडरी बनतो आपण. त्याच्यानंतर an offer made by or on behalf of an individual with a view to obtaining the right to exercise or control the exercise of not less than 1/3 of the voting power at general meeting of the company. 1/3 म्हणजे 33.33% शेअर कॅपिटल. सो अशी ऑफर आली आहे त्याच्याने 1/3 वोटिंग राईट्स एका इंडिव्हिज्युअलला मिळणार आहेत. सो ऑफर मेड बाय ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ एन इंडिव्हिज्युअल to control 33.33%, 1/3 of the company, at least 1/3. So it should be more than 1/3 only. Or any other offer which is conditional or acceptance to a given extent. Any other offer for such buyout of shares, shares बोलतोय आपण इथे, which is conditional or acceptance, म्हणजे acceptance आपल्यावर आहे म्हणजे अप्रूव्ह करायचे की नाही. सो याच्यामध्ये काय होतंय की बी पॉइंट मध्ये देर इज अ डेफिनेटली अ कंट्रोल शिफ्ट, ओनरशिप विल बी शिफ्टेड. सो याच्यामध्ये नवी मॅनेजमेंट वगैरे येऊ शकते. इथे यू आर सेलिंग द बिझनेस or part of the business or property. एक सेकंड. Yeah. So disclosure of particulars and approval in general meeting. So हे सगळं जर असेल, हे अशा जर इव्हेंट्स होणार असतील आणि याच्यामध्ये डिरेक्टर इज गोना लूज ऑफिस अँड ही इज टू गेट कॉम्पेन्सेशन अंडर दिस. मे बी न्यू जसं L&Tच्या केसमध्ये L&T आली तर सगळे डिरेक्टर आधीचे काढणार ते लोक. आता माइंट्रीचं काय झालं की जेव्हा L&T बॉट शेअर्स इन द कंपनी, L&T increased its stake from 22 to 63% वगैरे. ऑब्विसली देयर वॉज अ चेंज इन मॅनेजमेंट. सगळे L&Tचे डिरेक्टर आता माइंट्रीच्या बोर्डवर आहेत. सो आधीचे सोडून गेले ना. पण त्यांना त्या डिरेक्टर्सने पण रेकमेंड केलं असेल शेअर होल्डर्सला की असं आपण करू, L&T इज कमिंग. द शेअर होल्डर शुड नो की व्हॉट दीज गाईज गॉट. सो हे इथे अप्रूव्ह करतोय आपण. So disclosure of particulars and approval in general meeting. So directors have to disclose. इथे directors have to disclose की आम्हाला काय मिळतंय, की आम्हाला किती कॉम्पेन्सेशन मिळणार आहे. In connection with above events, a director of a company shall not receive any payment unless particulars as may be described with respect to the payment proposed to be made by transferee or person, including the amount thereof, has been disclosed to the members of the company and a proposal has been approved by the company in general meeting. त्याने म्हटलंय इन कनेक्शन विथ द अबाव इव्हेंट्स, म्हणजे हे सगळे इव्हेंट्स होत आहेत, If a director of the company shall not receive, the director of the company shall not receive any payment unless particulars as may be prescribed. Prescribe म्हणजे हे खाली दिलेत ऍक्च्युली काय काय त्याला मिळणार. With respect to payment proposed to be made by the transferee or person. So त्याने म्हटलंय receive any payment unless particulars as may be prescribed with respect to payment proposed to be made. त्याला पेमेंट कोण देणार आहे? Transferee or any person. Transferee, person who is taking over the business or undertaking, or any person who has made an offer to buy. इथे पर्सन आहे बघा आणि इथे ट्रान्सफर. सो इथे ट्रान्सफर येतो, इथे पर्सन येतो. शेअर्सच्या केसमध्ये पर्सन येतं. सो दीज गाईज आर गोइंग टू पे हिम including the amount thereof. त्याची अमाउंट पण has been disclosed to the members of the company and a proposal has been approved by the company general meeting. So अशा केस में generally the transferee or the person who is taking over might pay them compensation because now they are the they will become the owners of the company or they will be in control or maybe they will compensate him for his loss. Subject to conditions of disclosure and approval as mentioned above, a director of the company may receive payment. हे हा तो पॉइंट आहे रिफर्ड रूल 17 बिलो. त्याला कसं मिळेल? बाय वे ऑफ कॉम्पेन्सेशन फॉर लॉस ऑफ ऑफिस और एज अ कन्सिडरेशन फॉर रिटायरमेंट ऑफ ऑफिस. Sorry, rule 17 चा हा rule 17 is not this. Rule 17 चा खाली आहे. Sorry, I got confused. हे rule 17 डिटेल्स आहेत बेसिकली की त्याचं नाव काय वगैरे. सो काय त्याला मिळू शकतं? बाय वे ऑफ कॉम्पेन्सेशन फॉर लॉस ऑफ ऑफिस और एज अ कन्सिडरेशन फॉर रिटायरमेंट फ्रॉम ऑफिस in connection with such loss or retirement from such company or from transferee of such undertaking or property or from transferee of shares or from any person not being such company. So basically इथे काय चाललंय? त्याने म्हटलंय subject to conditional disclosure and approval as mentioned above, the director of the company may receive payment by way of compensation for loss or retirement or in connection with such loss from the transferee of the undertaking of property or transferee of shares or any other person on his behalf. So rule 17 में त्याने म्हटलंय की disclose करताना they have to disclose completely specified particulars which need to be disclosed to members of the company for approving the proposal by passing resolution at general meeting are as follows: name of director, amount proposed to be paid, event due to which the compensation becomes payable, date of board meeting recommending such payment, basis for the amount determined, reason or justification for the payment, manner of payment whether payable in cash or otherwise and how, sources of payment, and any other relevant particulars as the board may think fit. आता याच्यामध्ये कसं आहे ना की ही इज गोना एक्झिट. ओके, ही इज गोना एक्झिट, डिरेक्टर इज गोना एक्झिट, ही इज गोना लूज ऑफिस. याच्यामध्ये जनरली कॉम्पेन्सेशन नॉर्मली जेव्हा कंपनी डायरेक्टरला काढतात किंवा तो सोडून जातो त्याचा लॉस होतो ऑफिसचा, तर कंपनी हॅज टू पे कॉम्पेन्सेशन. आता या केसमध्ये काय होतंय? कंपनी कॅन ऑल्सो पे कॉम्पेन्सेशन और द ट्रान्सफरी कॅन ऑल्सो पे कॉम्पेन्सेशन. बोथ कॅन पे. ओके, सो ऑब्विसली कोणीतरी एक पे करेल, तो चान्सेस आर अशा केसमध्ये ट्रान्सफरी माइट पे, पण कंपनी ऑल्सो कॅन पे. पेमेंट लॉफुल विद इन द प्रिस्क्राइब लिमिट्स. ह्याच्यामध्ये लिमिट्स असतात ऍक्च्युली. सेक्शन 202 ने लिमिट दिलाय. आपण एक 202 आय थिंक आपण बघितलं नाही, बघितलं आय गेस, आठवत नाहीये. 202 नव्हता बघितला आय थिंक आपण. 202 पोचलोच नाही आपण. सो त्याच्यामध्ये काय लिमिट दिलंय की बेसिकली, पण आपण काही बघितलेलं आहे सम सेक्शन वी हॅड सीन. त्याच्यामध्ये असं होतं की बेसिकली डिरेक्टर इफ इज रिमूव्ड फ्रॉम ऑफिस बिफोर हिज टर्म और ही लुजेस हिज ऑफिस बिफोर हिज टर्म अनलेस ही इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द लॉस, तर वॉट एव्हर त्याची टर्म बाकी आहे ना, म्हणजे सपोज त्याचं 5 वर्षाची टर्म आहे, त्याची टर्म 2 वर्षाची बाकी आहे. सो त्यात तेवढी जी टर्म आहे त्याचं त्याला पेमेंट मिळणार, और 3 years विच एव्हर इज लेस. सो 2 years और 3 years विच एव्हर इज लेस, 2 years. आता त्याची टर्म जर 4 वर्ष राहिली असेल तर 4 years ची टर्म और 3 years विच एव्हर इज लेस. सो 3 years त्याला पैसे मिळणार. दॅट इज द लिमिट अँड द 202 सेक्शन 202 मध्ये लिमिट दिलंय. So any payment made by a company to MD or whole-time director or manager of the company by way of compensation for loss of office or as a consideration for retirement from office in connection with such loss shall be considered as lawful if it is subject to limits. According to Rule 17, such payment to be lawful shall not exceed the limit under 202. 202 चा लिमिट आहे, सो त्यांना कॉम्पेन्सेशन मिळणार असेल तर लिमिट चार्ट पाहिजे. प्लस त्याने म्हटलंय की नो कॉम्पेन्सेशन इज पेएबल अंडर स्पेसिफिक सर्कमस्टान्सेस. व्हॉट आर द सर्कमस्टान्सेस? त्याने म्हटलंय if company is a defaulter in repayment of public deposits or interest thereon, defaulter in redemption of debentures or interest thereon, default in payable in amount of loan to any bank institution, company has not paid income tax, VAT, excise, statutory dues, any other statutory dues regarding employees provident fund वगैरह, or workmen compensation, dividend not paid, preference shares or preference shares not redeemed, असं असेल तर ना काही कॉम्पेन्सेशन मिळणार नाही. पेमेंट प्रपोजल cannot be taken as approved if no quorum present. शेअरहोल्डर्सचा quorum आहे तरच ते हे होणार. So if the payment is not approved for want of quorum, either in meeting or at adjourned meeting, the proposal shall not be deemed to have been approved. Even adjourned meeting मध्ये पण quorum पाहिजे. If they get paid in contravention of that, म्हणजे त्यांनी न डिस्क्लोज करता पेमेंट मिळालं त्यांना, तर मग he will be holding that money as a trust, as a trustee of the company. त्याने म्हटलं in case a director of a company receives payment of any amount or proposed payment is made before it is approved by the meeting, the amount so received shall be deemed to be received by him in trust for the company. So he is holding the money for the company only, असं पकडायचं, as a trustee. He should return it later if not approved. Penalty आहे, if the director of the company makes any default, liable to penalty of 1 lakh. No effect on disclosures. त्याने म्हटलंय 191 shall not be taken to prejudice the operation of any law requiring disclosures to be made with respect to any payment received under section 191 or such as the like payments made to director. In other words, if required by any law, disclosures regarding any payment for compensation shall be made. Disclosure करावंच लागेल. दुसऱ्या कुठच्या लॉ मध्ये म्हटलं डिस्क्लोज करा तर डिस्क्लोज करा. हे या सेक्शन मध्ये सांगितलंच आहे, प्लस अदर सेक्शन मध्ये पण होऊ शकतं. सो इथे बेसिकली काय आहे, because of such event is happening, director is losing office, so he's getting compensation. So किती पे करायचं हे shareholders will approve, only then he will be paid either by the company or by the transfer.
हॅलो
हां, येस.
एक डाऊट होता, ते LNT चं जे एक्झाम्पल दिलं ना तुम्ही, LNT एक्झाम्पल, त्याच्यात if the director he becomes a director in Mindtree,
okay,
then also he is liable to compensation. म्हणजे दुसऱ्या कंपनीमध्ये डायरेक्टर
नाही, इथे कसं आहे, इथे आपण एका कंपनीचं बोलतोय. इथे आता Mindtree LNTच्या एक्झाम्पल मध्ये वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट Mindtree. ओके, Mindtree मध्ये LNT इज बाईंग शेअर्स, त्याच्यामुळे Mindtreeचे डिरेक्टर्स विल बी लुझिंग ऑफिस बिकॉज LNTचे डिरेक्टर आता तिकडे येतील, म्हणजे ते लोक त्यांचे डिरेक्टर अपॉइंट करतील कंपनी. सो इथे Mindtreeचे डिरेक्टर्स विल बी लुझिंग ऑफिस. सो मग त्यांना कॉम्पेन्सेशन द्यायचं की नाही हे Mindtreeचे शेअरहोल्डर डिसाइड करतील.
ओके. अँड इन केस दे आर अपॉइंटेड इन LNT वगैरे असं तर
नाही. आता या केसमध्ये कसं आहे की इन केस दे आर अपॉइंटेड इन LNT, सो मग दॅट इज अगेन काइंड ऑफ, म्हणजे ते त्यांना डिस्क्लोज करायला लागेल की एकतर आम्हाला तिकडे अपॉइंट केलंय. ओके, सेकंडली दुसरी गोष्ट अशी आहे की असं शक्यतो तरी होणार नाही, म्हणजे की Mindtreeचे डिरेक्टर्स LNT मध्ये अपॉइंट झाले, कारण इथे वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट Mindtree विच इज गेटिंग टेकन ओव्हर बाय LNT.
ओके.
सो इथे ऑफिस लूज होत आहे या डिरेक्टर्स, Mindtreeच्या डिरेक्टर. सो त्याच्यामुळे त्यांना कॉम्पेन्सेशन द्यायचं की नाही एवढाच प्रश्न आहे इकडे.
ओके.
सो ते शेअरहोल्डर्स विल अप्रूव्ह. त्याच्या पुढे मध्ये काय करतील त्यांचं आहे. ओके, सो इथे जो पार्ट आहे 191 ह्याच्यामध्ये पहिलं हा पॉइंट आहे की नो कॉम्पेन्सेशन वगैरे, आणि हे इव्हेंट्स दिले. पहिले तर हे इव्हेंट्स दिले सगळे, दीज आर द इव्हेंट्स. त्याच्यानंतर डिस्क्लोजर दिलंय की डिस्क्लोज करायला लागेल तुम्हाला. त्याच्यानंतर रूल 17 मध्ये दिलंय की काय डिस्क्लोज करायला लागेल, म्हणजे कसं डिस्क्लोज करायचंय. इथे दिलंय कधी डिस्क्लोज करायला लागेल, की हे असं जर केस असेल की त्यांना पेमेंट मिळणार आहे वगैरे. आणि काय काय डिस्क्लोज करायचे, नेम हे ते, आणि विदिन लिमिट पेमेंट पाहिजे. जर मॅनेजर, एमडी, होल टाइम डायरेक्टर असेल तर त्यांना विदिन लिमिट पाहिजे. 2002 सेक्शन आहे. आणि इफ इट द कंपनी इज अ डिफॉल्टर, डेफिनेटली दे विल नॉट गेट कॉम्पेन्सेशन एनिथिंग, बिकॉज एवढं तुम्ही डिफॉल्टर आहात आणि तुम्हाला कसं कॉम्पेन्सेशन देणार. कोरम पाहिजे अप्रुव्हल मध्ये. आणि इफ ही इज गेटिंग मनी विदाउट अप्रुव्हल, देन मग ही शुड होल्ड द मनी ॲज अ ट्रस्ट ऑफ द कंपनी, ही शुड रिटर्न द मनी लेटर. बस एवढंच आहे. सो इथपर्यंतच हे करायचं, रिसीट ऑफ पेमेंट कॉन्ट्रॅक्शन पर्यंत. सो दॅट इज द होल केस. सो इथे प्रश्न एवढाच आहे की शेअरहोल्डर्स should approve the disclosure, the payment of compensation directors. They can म्हणजे they can say no also की नाही द्यायची गरज नाही. So without their approval he cannot get anything. That is the thing. त्याच्यानंतर लास्ट टू व्हेरी इझी सेक्शन्स. रिस्ट्रिक्शन ऑन नॉन कॅश ट्रान्झॅक्शन इन्व्हॉल्विंग डिरेक्टर्स. नॉन कॅश म्हणजे काय की बेसिकली जे कॅश इन्व्हॉल्व नाहीये. म्हणजे इथे कसं आहे, कंपनी आणि डिरेक्टर याच्यामध्ये ट्रान्झॅक्शन चाललेत. सपोज डिरेक्टर इज बाइंग सम assets from the company, but he is not paying in cash. He is paying in kind. Exchange करतायत वगैरे काही assets. So they allowed नाहीये नॉर्मली, रिस्ट्रिक्ट केलंय. पण जर करत असाल तर मग शेअरहोल्डर्सचा अप्रुव्हल घ्या आणि काय एक्सचेंज होतंय ते पण तुम्ही त्याची व्हॅल्यू दाखवा की व्हॉट काइंड ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी वॉज एक्सचेंज आणि काय आलं कंपनीकडे. सेम वे company is buying something from the director and in return they are not paying cash, they are giving him shares वगैरे of the company. Again non cash transaction झालं. So cash is not involved इकडे. So ते फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल रिस्ट्रिक्टेड आहे. सेकंडली करत असाल तर मग तुम्ही डिस्क्लोज करा आणि शेअरहोल्डर्सचा अप्रुव्हल घ्या. डिस्क्लोज करा म्हणजे काय की व्हॉट इज द व्हॅल्यू ऑफ ऍसेट एक्सचेंज ते पण तुम्ही डिस्क्लोज करा आणि त्यासाठी व्हॅल्यूअरचा रिपोर्ट पण तुम्हाला अटॅच करायला लागेल. Restriction on acquiring assets for consideration other than cash. No company shall enter into arrangement by which a director of the company or holding or subsidiary or associate or a person connected with him, maybe his relative, acquires or is to acquire assets for consideration other than cash from the company. So the director is acquiring assets from the company and is paying not in cash, or company acquires or is to acquire assets from consideration other than cash from such director or person so connected. इथे company is acquiring. अलाउड नाहीये खरं तर, पण रिलॅक्स केलंय त्याने रिस्ट्रिक्शन इकडे की द अबाव रिस्ट्रिक्शन शुड बी रिलॅक्स्ड. दॅट इज द कंपनी मे एंटर इन टू an arrangement involving non-cash transaction as stated in 1 above if prior approval of such arrangement is accorded by resolution of the company general meeting. Shareholders approval घ्या. And when director or person connected is a director of its holding company, then holding company will have to pass the approval. The holding company च्या केस मध्ये ट्रान्झॅक्शन चाललंय त्याने director of the company, so director of the holding company असेल. So when director or connected person is a director of its holding company, so company आणि holding company director मध्ये ट्रान्झॅक्शन झालं. Approval shall be acquired by obtaining a resolution in general meeting of the holding company. मग holding companyच्या shareholders meeting घ्यायला लागेल, त्यांचा अप्रूव्ह घ्यायला लागेल. Contents of notice issued for approval of resolution. त्या नोटीस मध्ये काय असणार? Notice for approval of resolution issued by company or holding company shall include particulars of arrangement की exactly काय transaction आहे. It shall also include the value of assets involved in such arrangement duly calculated by registered valuer. Registered valuer चा रिपोर्ट पण ठेवा. जर तुम्ही हे फॉलो नाही केलं त्याने म्हटलं एनी अरेंजमेंट एंटर्ड इनटू बाय कंपनी और इट्स होल्डिंग कंपनी इन कॉन्ट्रावेंशन ऑफ द प्रोविजन्स ऑफ 1 and 2 shall be voidable at the instant of the company. So company can avoid that. Shareholders can avoid that later. The arrangement shall not be voidable if restitution of any money or other consideration which is the subject matter of the arrangement is no longer possible and a company has been indemnified by any other person for any loss or damage caused to it. त्याने म्हटलंय आता ट्रान्झॅक्शन होऊन गेलंय आणि आता ते चेंज करू शकत नाही काही आपण, पण कंपनीला कॉम्पेन्सेशन मिळालेलं आहे सम वे. सो कंपनी वॉज कॉम्पेन्सेटेड बाय सम अदर पर्सन. त्याने म्हटलंय अरेंजमेंट शॅल नॉट बी अवॉइडेबल, इट इज टू लेट टू अवॉइड इट नाउ. if restitution of any money or consideration which is subject matter of the arrangement is no longer possible. की आता काय पैसे येणार नाहीयेत परत किंवा वॉट एव्हर वॉज द सब्जेक्ट मॅटर ऑफ द ट्रान्झॅक्शन, जे काय ऍसेट गेलं वगैरे आहे किंवा आलंय ते काय आता रिटर्न करू शकत नाही आपण. आणि कंपनीचा लॉस ज्या कोणी ज्याच्या बरोबर डील केलं आपण त्याने कॉम्पेन्सेशन दिलेलं आहे आपल्याला, त्याने आपल्याला ही हॅज इंडेमनिफाईड. So the director has indemnified for the loss or any person on his behalf has indemnified for the loss. If any rights are acquired bona fide for value and without notice of the contravention of the provisions of this section by any other person. आता फॉर एक्झाम्पल कंपनी डिरेक्टरला कुठचा ऍसेट दिला, डिरेक्टरने पुढे विकलं आणि त्यात थर्ड पर्सन बायज इट इन गुड फेथ, तर मग आता काय कॅन्सलेशन होऊ शकत नाही. सो इथे नॉन कॅश आहे बेसिकली. Either the director is buying or selling to the company, non-cash. So इथे 1, 2, 3, 4 हे चारही पॉइंट इम्पॉर्टंट आहेत. आणि लास्ट इज कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट्स बाय वन पर्सन कंपनी. बेसिकली इथे काय म्हटलंय की वन पर्सन कंपनीचा एकच मेंबर असतो, बरोबर. तर मग कंपनी इफ द कंपनी इज एंटरिंग इन टू कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट्स विथ दॅट पर्सन, त्याने म्हटलंय की मग रायटिंग मध्ये असलं पाहिजे. आणि आयदर इट शुड बी पार्ट ऑफ द, म्हणजे जे काही कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट द कंपनी इज एंटरिंग विथ द वन पर्सन हु इज द मेंबर ऑफ द कंपनी, तर मग आणि तो डिरेक्टर पण आहे त्याची कंपनीत, सो तो ओनर आहे आणि डिरेक्टर पण आहे. तर त्याने म्हटलंय की मग असं असेल तर मग एनी कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट एंटर विथ द कंपनी एंटर्ड बाय द कंपनी विथ दॅट पर्सन शुड बी इन रायटिंग. जर नसेल तर तुम्ही ते ड्राफ्ट करा किंवा रेकॉर्ड दॅट इन द नेक्स्ट बोर्ड मीटिंग्स मिनिट्स. की नेक्स्ट बोर्ड मीटिंग जेव्हा होईल, आता वन पर्सन कंपनी कॅन ऑल्सो हॅव अ बोर्ड, किंवा नसेल तरी पण बोर्ड मीटिंगचे जे मिनिट्स असतात, म्हणजे इफ ओनली ही इज द डिरेक्टर, तर मग त्याने म्हटलंय की त्यांचं जे काय मिनिट्स असतात, मिनिट्स बुक असतात, त्याच्यामध्ये रेकॉर्ड करा ते जे काही कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट एंटर करताय आणि सेंड अ कॉपी टू रजिस्टर. पण त्याने म्हटलंय की जर ऑर्डिनरी कोर्स ऑफ बिझनेस मध्ये कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट आहे तर मग काही गरज नाहीये. त्याने म्हटलंय Section 193 of the Act contains provisions in respect of contracts entered into by one person company, which is limited by shares or guarantee. This section becomes applicable when one person company enters into contract with its sole member, who is also its director. Section 193 operates in the following manner. Preferably, such contract should be in writing. If not in writing असेल तर काही टेन्शनच नाही, पण writing नसेल, the OPC shall ensure that terms of the contract or offer are contained in the memorandum or are recorded in the minutes of the first meeting of the board of directors of the company held next after entering into contract. त्याने म्हटलंय if they are not in writing then they should ensure that the terms of the contract or offer are contained in the memorandum. So त्याने म्हटलंय memorandum contained in the memorandum म्हणजे काय की they have to be drafted properly, they have to be drafted or recorded in the minutes of the first meeting of the board held after entering into contract. So त्यांच्या minutes मध्ये record करा. Exception if the contracts are entered into the company in the ordinary course of business, then not applicable. And the company shall inform the registrar about every contract entered into by the company and recorded in the minutes of the meeting of the board. This shall be done within 15 days from the date of approval by the board. they म्हटले जे जे असे कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट्स आहेत they have to intimate the ROC. That's it. हे पूर्णच घ्यायला लागेल. Okay, so with this we have finished the chapter.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. आणि ह्याच्यामध्ये हे मागचे पण प्रश्न आहेत इकडे. सो हे प्रश्न येतील आता, एकदम इझी आहे की what is the procedure to be followed when board meeting is adjourned for want of quorum? How is resolution by circulation passed? 175. त्याच्यानंतर इथे P and Mr. Q are directors of CTEC inform the company about their inability to attend a meeting, board meeting, because the notice thereof was not served on them. Discuss whether any default on the part of CTEC and consequence thereof. So इथे मीटिंग ची नोटीस नाही आली आहे, सो ते केली पाहिजे सर्व, त्याचं लिहायला लागेल 173. त्याच्यानंतर whether notice of the board meeting is required to be sent to the following persons interested director. बेसिकली सगळ्यांनाच पाठवायला पाहिजे. दॅट इज द रूल. मग बोर्डच्या पॉवर्स वर आहे. मग ऑडिट कमिटीवर प्रश्न आहे 177. मग हे ह्याच्याबद्दल आहे. (186) वर आहे. 186 borrowing limits. So you can see this, ह्याचे सम्स वगैरे इंटरेस्टिंग आहेत. सो यू कॅन जस्ट सी सोल्युशन असेलच. काय नाही समजलं तर मला विचार. ओके, सो लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चन्स आणि असे सम एक्झाम मध्ये येतात स्ट्रेट अवे. हे एक ड्राफ्ट रेझोल्युशन टाईप आहे. ते हे आणि असे प्रश्न आहेत की ऑडिट कमिटी आहे, व्हॉट वुड बी मिनिमम लाईकली टर्नओव्हर कॅपिटल ऑफ दिस कंपनी वगैरे. ऑडिट कमिटी त्यांना आहे तर किती पाहिजे वगैरे. हे पण 186 वर आहे की दे वॉन्टेड टू बॉरो. सो बॉरोइंग लिमिट क्रॉस होते का बघायचं. सो ह्याचं सोल्युशन बघून तुला कळेल, आयडिया येईल की ते आपले प्रोव्हिजन आहे बेसिकली. फर्स्ट रीड द प्रोव्हिजन, ट्राय टू अप्लाय द प्रोव्हिजन, देन सी द आन्सर. लगेच कळेल. ओके, सो हे प्रश्न बघ आणि जे मी वाचून दाखवलं 188 to 193 ते लिहायला लागेल. ठीक आहे. सो नेक्स्ट टाइम आपण दुसरा चॅप्टर घेऊ, दॅट इज KMP. आणि त्याच्यानंतर तो आय थिंक कॉम्प्रोमाइज वाला राहिला ना. ऑपरेशनला यू आर देअर.
येस, सेकंड, फोर्थ अँड फिफ्थ.
ओके, ठीक आहे. ओके, फाईन. सो सी यू ऑन नेक्स्ट सॅटर्डे.
या, थँक यू.
ओके, एवढं कम्प्लीट कर.
येस, थँक यू. बाय.
या, बाय.